Hello everyone, I'm Alfian and today we are going to solve the LeetCode challenge on the challenge number 119 called the Pascal triangle 2. And for this particular challenge, given an integer row index, return the row index of the certain index of the zero index row to the Pascal triangle. In Pascal triangles, each number is the sum of the two numbers directly above it as shown like this visualization from the previous challenge, which is on the challenge 118 Pascal triangle. And for the example number 1 right here, we have row index of 3 and we got the value of the array, which is consisting of 1, 3, 3 and 1. So what about the row index 3? It is pointing on this part of the index. So let's say from this index is the index 0, and for this row is index 1. This part of the row, which is consisting of array 1, 2 and 1, is on the index 2, and for this part is on the index 3. So since the row index pointing to the index 3, then this value of the array will be returned as the answer in a form of array. And for the index 0 right here, the output is array consisting of one element, which is 1. And for the example 3, we have row index 1 and it is pointing to the 1 and then 1 as the answer in the form of array. And the constraint, the row index, which has the inclusive number of possible numbers between 0 and 30 up to the point to the 33 index. And let's solve this out by creating. I have two approaches in order to solve this challenge. The first approach, which use the array replacement technique using the constant output array, we declare the output array as in the form of number array consisting of numbers, and the initial value will be 1 right here, which points to the index 0. And for the next one, we have to return the output, and if it is index 0, then we'll not trigger the while loop. We are declaring the while loop while the row index is above 0, as long as the row index is above index 0. Since if it is index 0, then the while loop will not triggers and it just returns the output as the answer. And within the while loop, row index is above 0. That way we are creating a row index, mutating the row index using the -1 until it leads to the index 1 as the last while loop. And that way we are iterating over using the while loop to build over the array of Pascal triangle index of the row index using the while loop right here. And for the next one, we need to create a constant, not constant but let, because oops, it is supposed to be constant. It's okay because we are working with array, and we have the array, new array, which in a form of number array, and we declare an empty array just like on the previous challenge. And for the next one, we need to create a for loop for let I is equals to the -1, not 0, as long as I is below the output dot length and then I plus plus. And that way we are still imagining the 0 around the current row. So let's say we have the index 0 right here, which is 1. We are imagining zeros around it. We have zeros right here and another zeros right here. And that way, since let I is equals to the -1, then -1 is pointing to the invisible 0, and then the 0 is pointing to the 1, and then +1 is pointing to the another invisible 0. And that way we are calculating from using the double 2 pointers, using the 0 right here, which is on the index -1, with the index I -1 plus 1, which points to the index 0. And that way 0 plus 1 is equals to the 1, and another 1 plus 0 is equals to the 1 by iterating over the row. and that way we got the second row, which is on the row index of 1. So that is the principle of the Pascal triangle. And we declare another value, constant value, in the form of number. Oh, I forgot to mention that we are working with the TypeScript. If you want to use something else other than TypeScript language, then go ahead, and encourage you to do so. And we have the function getRow, which takes one parameter called the row index and in the form of number. Since here we are using TypeScript, and the expected output is in the form of number array. And for the constant value right here, value of the number, which uses two pointers. The first one, which is on the invisible 0, since index I minus 1, we don't have I minus 1, we have only I equals to the 0, which points to the 1 as the index 0, and the only element that we have on the output array. So we need to use the output of the current index, which is -1, and then we need to wrap it using the nullish coalesce operator. And that way, since index -1 is out of bound, then we will handle this by using the 0 instead of the out of bound index, or null, either null or the undefined value. So it will return 0 instead. And for the next one, the second pointer, which points to the output of the index I plus 1. And we need to wrap this using the nullish coalesce operator, and that way we have another invisible 0 after the index 0. So let's say on the index 1, and then we are iterating over the index 0, since index 0 plus 1 is pointing to the index 1 from this part on the second pointer. Then it will return 0 instead of the index out of bound issue. So let's insert the value into the newly created array using the Array.push of the value, and that way we are constructing a new array of the current row index as the answer, and that way we are returning the array as the answer. And for the next one, we need to replace the current output of the array equals to the array, and that way we are replacing the output with the current array we already constructed from this nested for loop inside the while loop. So let's run the code to see if it works. Then we need to redeclare the constant as the let variable of the output, because we are mutating the output with the array. Let's run the code again to see if it works. And we have the accepted answer. Let's run the code. Submit the code using the Ctrl Enter. And we have the runtime of 0 millisecond and memory complexity of the 55 megabytes. And for another answer for this challenge, we need to comment this part. I'm showing you another way to solve the challenge. And for the output right here, we can declare a constant of the output, and the number array, still number array, and we need to create a new array constructor using the, instead of the array of the element of just 1, we need to construct new array of ones using the new array constructor based on the row index plus 1, and then change it using the fill method, fill with all with 1. And that way, let's say if we have the row index equals to the 3, let's say we have row index 3, then of course the array will consist of the 1, 2, 3 based on the counts of the row index integer, and then another plus 1, and then another 1, and we'd fill this with all ones inside of the elements. If we have the row index equals to 4, then we will get the 1, 1, 1, 1 with 5 ones. So that is the array constructor. And for the next one, we use the for loop to make this more easier. For loop, let I is equals to 1 as long as I is below or equals to the row index, and then I plus plus. And for inside the for loop, we need to nest another for loop. For equals to the let j, declare let j equals to the I of the current I since I is equals to 1, and then minus 1, and then using the j as long as j is above 0, then we need to use the j minus minus, and we are subtracting the j by 1 as we iterate over the for loop. And for the next one, we need to mutate the array in place by using the output of the current index of the j, and then plus equals, use the output from the j with the j itself with the j minus 1, output of the j minus 1, and we return the answer as the output right here. So let's run the code again to check if it works, and we have runtime of 0 millisecond. Let's submit this code to see if it really works. And we still have the same complexity, but this one is much more shorter and much more easier because we don't have performance overhead using the constant array of the creating array inside the while loop, and that way we are just mutating the array in place as the answer. So how does this works using the nested for loops? I'm going to use the escalator drawing. Let's say we have the row index of equals 3, and of course the array constructor will be like this: 1 2 3, and then another 1 because of the extra 1 of the array constructor. And for the next one, it is going to be 1 2 1 and then 1. But before that, on the first iteration, it happens to be 1 1 1 and 1. It's because on the first iteration, since the j equals to the I minus 1 as long as j is above 0, since j is equals to the 0, because from the I right here, I equals 1 to the minus 1, which is equals j equals 0 of the current iteration, then this part of the for loop on the first iteration will not triggers, and that is why it is still showing 1 1 and then 1 1 on the first iteration. On the next iteration, we have 1 2 1 1 is because on the next iteration we have this part of the code that works using the blue color of the 1 and 1 right here, and the value will be triggered, and this part is calculated with the part of the previous array index. Then it will calculate over the 1 plus 1 is equals to the 2 on the current index, and that way we are mutating this index 1 using the index 0 added by the index 0, and we return the result as the index 1. For the next iteration, let me draw this again. Next iteration, we have 1 2 1 3 3 1, not 1 2. Is because on this part of the iteration, from the previous iteration, it is going to be like this: 1 1, and the value will be derived and we will return as the new value of the index 1 right here. And in order to get the 1 3 3 and 1, since 1 right here is not going to be triggered, and the 3 right here is triggered because of the 1 with 2, the calculation of the double pointers right here, 2 pointers of the current iteration with the previous iteration, hence the name of the plus equals operator, and that returns the value of 3 using the current index added by the previous index. So we get the new index and mutate the current index with the value from the previous index. And for the another 3, we are calculating over the 2 and 1 right here, since one of the current index added by the 2, and we will return the result as its own index. And for the last iteration, it will not be triggered, is because it's reaching to the end of the array, and it reaches the end of the for loop. Then we will return the result like this, 1 3 3 1. So let's say if we have another example is in the row index of the 5, we have 1 1 1 and then 1 and another 1 and another 1 again, is because index equals to 5 and then plus 1. And for the next one, let me draw this. From this part, we are not going to be trigger anything, is still returning all 1. And for the next one, we are calculating the 1 with 1, since the first one is not moving to be calculated with anything, and the second index will be calculated with the previous index, so it will return as 2, and we still return 1. And for the next one, we have still 1, and this one is going to be triggered again, and we have the value of 3. Then this part is going to be triggered again, and we have the value of 3, and we still return 1. And for the next iteration, we are returning 1, and for the second index, we are returning 4. The third index, or the index number 2, we are returning 6, and for this index of 3, we are returning 4. And for this part, it's not going to be triggered because the double pointers already reached to the end of the index of the nested for loop. And for the next iteration, we have 1, and the next one is also being triggered as 5, and next one also going to be triggered as 10. The next one will be triggered as 10, and next one will be triggered as 5, and then finally 1, is because the 2 pointers already reach the end of the index minus 1, so it will not process the last index of the array, and that way we are returning the row index of the 5, which is 1 5 10 10 5 1 of the array. So that is the pattern that we are working on. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you understand my explanation. If you still don't understand, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you have any better solutions regarding this challenge, tell us what you think in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.